Hi everyone, I'm Chris.
And I'm Corey. Join us on our foul-mouthed adventure through the 80s as we answer the questions you didn't know you had, point out the things you missed, and recap the behind-the-scenes stories that likely never happened.
You're listening to
That's Basically the 80s.
Happy birthday, Corey.
It's not my birthday.
Yeah, but you just turned 50 episodes deep.
Oh, yeah.
Or 50 episodes old.
That's basically the 80s. Needs a birthday cake if anyone wants to bake us one.
That's right, so
We need like one of those strippers that pops out of a cake for our birthday.
Yeah, but I want this one to be a little mouse stripper. So like whatever Stuart Little is, only girl mouse.
Cool. It's weird.
Don't do that, actually. I don't want a mouse in my cake.
I wonder, we're probably the only podcast that decided to do a cartoon, like a obscure 1980s cartoon movie for our 50th comedy episode, right?
Nope, it's an animated movie. It's not a cartoon.
Oh.
Cartoon is so juvenile. Probably. You know, I posted on some Instagram people. I saw some other people that were doing their 50th episode. And they're like, oh, we forgot about our 50th episode and we were going to do something fun, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, we're doing our 50th episode and we're doing it on the Secret of N.I.M.H, so
yeah,
I don't think you can beat that.
Yeah, so get your stripper cakes out. Yep, so as you heard from the start of the movie, or the start of the podcast, if you've never seen the movie, that is a part of The Secret of N.I.M., a.k.a. Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of N.I.M., a.k.a. they changed it to Mrs. Brisby so they wouldn't get sued.
That's right. If you're worried about getting sued, just change 2 letters in the name and then you're good. Mm-hmm. Everything else can be exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I think instead of having, like, Jeremy be the savior rat, they changed it to Justin.
Probably something easy like that.
And then they changed Gandalf the mouse, or Gandalf the rat, to Nicodemus, you know? So just...
Heck yeah.
And then you just change the shades of their eyes. Like, Mrs. Frisby in the book had, like, green eyes, and Mrs. Brisby has brown eyes, you know?
It's awesome. Just if like, Howard Hughes directed the movie, he would have called it, like Mrs. Brisby and them smart-ass motherfucking rats.
That's right. The ones that have electricity.
I know.
But they steal it.
Them stealing bitches. They're trying to get better about it, though.
Right? Nicodemus has that little red amulet of force powers, you know, so he can see the future a little bit. And then he's like, well, you know, we probably better get out of here because they're going to send in a white van and tear this rose bush up. But he can't see far enough in the future to not stand under a fucking cinder block above his head, you know?
Right. So we're 2 minutes and 43 seconds in, and you've summarized the entire movie. So great work.
Yeah, basically when we were talking about doing this, remember my wife, she's like, what is The Secret of N.I.M.H? And we're like, what? You haven't seen it? And I'm like, yeah, basically, here's the plot. There's a family of mice. They're in a field. They're about to get plowed over, and they live in a brick. One of the mouse kids has like a fucked up leg or something, and they can't move him. And so they have to wreck the tractor and then figure out how to move their whole house.
Mm-hmm. And there's some smart rats.
Yeah. And then Carrie says, oh, sounds awesome. Can't believe she's never seen it. I was trying to figure out what, like, if I was going to rank this in the top mouse animated movies, I was thinking, well, it's going to be in the top 3 because there's only 3. You've got The American Tale, you got The American Tale 5 Goes West, and you've got The Secret of N.I.M.H.
And The Great Mouse Detective.
But I was wrong. There's like a million fucking mouse movies.
A bunch of other mouse ones.
You got, like you said, The Great Mouse Detective. You've got The Rescuers. You've got The Rescuers Down Under. You've got Stuart Little's not
you got the
animated or whatever. Well, it's
sort of.
Yeah,
it's like CGI or something, right?
And then you've got like Ratatouille, and Cinderella has some rats or mice in it. And
there's that one Stuart Little. It was like straight to home video that was called Stuart Little Falls on Some Hard Time and Shakes His Titties for a Podcast.
That's right.
That was a good one.
Jumps out of birthday cakes and shit. So if you're looking for mouse movies, like,
this is one of them.
Yeah, this is one of them, and it was a good one, you know.
So let's see. The movie starts out with
like Gandalf the rat, Nicodemus,
and he's just
talking about Jonathan.
Talking about Jonathan. He's like, "Man, Jonathan, it's fucked up. You died.
You know, you really left us hanging there."
Yeah, he's kind of like guilt tripping. He's like, "Man, we gotta move. Your fucking wife died. Like you left her all alone. I don't know what she's gonna do. If I were dead, I would just be like sitting on the inside of that mouse's stomach. I would have been like, yeah, I know. You couldn't tell
inside
me
the cat's stomach.
Yeah, you couldn't tell me you're fucking with your special powers that this was going to happen to me, you dick.
That cat only has one good eye, and he managed to catch me.
Got him good.
Even though I'm the smartest mouse in the world.
But yeah, Nicodemus, he's writing this story about his like spell books and stuff, and then it introduces Mrs. Frisby.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then she is heading to go talk to Mr. Aegis, who is the rat with the broken leg. I mean, the mouse with the broken leg.
But his leg isn't broken yet.
Not broken yet.
He's climbing all over inside of a different broken down piece of machinery. Mm-hmm. So it's like this farmer has like a bunch of broken down machinery just everywhere.
Right.
So it's like
the mice just keep breaking it.
You know, have you ever noticed that? I don't know how it is where you guys are, but here, Wyoming, we have a lot of ranches, and there are some places that are just like people own acres and acres.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice that they just don't even get rid of their old shit. They're like, oh, refrigerator, just throw it out on the lawn.
Right.
Oh, broke down tractor, go pop the tires and make sure that nobody can take that thing out of there.
Pretty sure that a lot of that stems from most of the like farms or from like farm families, and a lot of those people's parents or grandparents grew up in like the Great Depression where they didn't throw anything away. So like they were just so poor back then that it didn't make sense to throw anything away.
Yeah, and so then we're looking out there and there's like an 87 Buick just broke down out there.
And you just keep it just in case.
Just in case. I've went to some places and done some work on their houses and stuff where there's like old mattresses laying out there that are the old spring mattresses. So all it is just the springs left.
Right.
You know, it's
crazy.
That's what you do.
But it makes a good house for mice and stuff, which is good.
Right.
Especially ones with children who've got pneumonia, which is why she's going to see Mr. Aegis.
Right.
Her kid's all fucked up on that pneumonia, and she's going to see about getting some medication for him.
Right. Mr. Aegis is like, I don't want anybody here. And she's like, well, I gotta be here. I need some magic powder, you know? Timothy is sick. Right. And he's like, well, you gotta move. She's like, well, no, she's like, I gotta move. And he's like,
you can't. He's sick.
You can't move. He'll get the chill and he'll die, you know? So he mixes up that magic powder. I don't know what it is. It's like
probably just like some fucking herbal tea or some shit.
Right. He's like, whatever. Just give him this. Get out. You know. Tell him to stay in bed. Then we go from there, and Miss Frisby leaves to find the crazy bird hanging in the string. Right.
Yeah.
Who knew that crows were so dumb?
I did.
Well,
I hate those guys.
I saw the crows in Dumbo.
Yeah.
And they were like a jazz band.
Kind of.
You know, they were. I don't know, they seem like tough guys or whatever. You know, like they were going to rob a bank in the 1940s or something.
Right.
But not this crow.
No, he was a dumb crow.
This was the short bus crow. Can I say that?
Probably.
But he had a big heart, right?
Right.
Like he's like, oh, I'm getting a string. You know, I'm going to go make me a house so then that way when I get some honeys back here, we're going to have a little love nest. You know, I'm going to tie her up. And then she's going to tie me up, and then we're both going to be stuck because we're tied up, and we're not going to be able to get out. But
yeah, that's kind of what he said. Yeah, so she's walking home with all the medication, and then, she sees the crows kind of, like, tied up in some string. And so she's, like, going to help him. But then she's like, oh, fuck, maybe Dragon's going to come. And Dragon's a big-ass cat with one eye.
Yeah, he is a monster cat.
Monster cat, yeah. And he's like, oh, fuck, here he comes. And then they're like she's like trying to get him free and everything. And then it turns out it's just like a little bunny. And then he's like, oh, whoops, I fucked up.
I'm allergic to cats.
Bunny. He's like, yeah, if this is a cat, I'd start sneezing all over the place. And then it's Dom DeLuise, who's a really awesome voice actor for all those cartoons. He plays like not Charlie, he plays like the short little wiener dog in All Dogs Go to Heaven, which is not Charlie. And
he's isn't he the cat in American American Five-O?
Yeah,
American Five-O West
Oscar,
goes...
Yeah, he's Oscar, and then a couple other things, but then he starts all sneezing. And then so that's when Tiger's there, and then Dragon attacks him. Sorry,
that's what Chris would do.
You'd start sneezing.
Like, oh, is there a cat around here? Oh, how do you know? I don't know. I'm sneezing my ass off.
Hell yeah! But I'm a man, so I don't sneeze when a tiny little feline is around.
Yeah, I'm only attracted to one kind of pussy, and it's not pussy cats.
Crickets. So then they escape the cat, but then Miss Frisby loses her medication. She's like, fuck, now my kid's going to die.
Right,
and
she saves the day. She straight up saves the crow, but loses the medication in the water.
And she's kind of pissed at him, because she's like, if your stupid crow ass wasn't stuck in some string, my son would still
Right, she's over there crying, and he's trying to walk in and impress her, right? Oh,
yeah.
You know?
He's like, man, we really did awesome, didn't we? Anyways, here, I saved this little bag for you. And she's like, oh, shit, this is my kid's medication. She goes home and feeds it to him. And then that's when we get to a crazy character. That's the shrew.
The Shrew, Annie Shrew.
Annie Shrew.
Annie Shrew and the kids.
Yeah.
The kids are awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
I'd be those kids.
yeah, they're all
tying
hanging
people
out. And then she's like, Annie Shrew's coming, and the little kid's like, that bitch?
Yeah.
I'm going to go get I ain't scared of her.
Yeah, he's like, I ain't afraid of you. I'll fucking punch you in your shrew face. And
which is
just trying to help.
Pretty cool because who is the character that played the girl? The witch?
Mm-hmm.
Shannon Doherty. Yeah. This was her first role. Did you know that?
No.
She played the older daughter, the older of the kid mice. Or played it, was the voice actor for it, and this was actually her first role. And then she moves on to do, like, what, Beverly Hills 90210 and Charmed, and some other
a million other shows.
Mallrats.
She's in a bunch of Kevin Smith movies, yep. At least Mallrats.
But anyways, so yeah, your favorite character, Annie Shrew.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about her?
Character. She's awful. Yeah, she's just like, oh my god, children, we have to move, you know.
She's like, I watch out for this whole farm.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, you can't move Timmy.
Right.
And the other little girl's like, Timmy's sick. And she's like, be quiet. Get out of the way. What's going on? She pops up again. Timmy's sick. Get out of the way, little girl. Yeah, and the other girl's like, well, Timmy's sick. Oh, shit.
Oh, fuck, he's sick? Why didn't you just tell me? Yeah, classic shrew behavior. But, like, the thing about her is, like, she like, talks like a big game. She's like, listen, Mrs. Frisby, I fucking told you 3 months ago shit's starting to thaw out. Farmer's gonna get in his tractor. We gotta start moving. You gotta have a plan. You gotta get all your shit packed and everything. Like, that day's coming up soon, you know. And if I were like a new animal in the area, I'd be like, God damn, like, I'm gonna follow her. She knows what she's doing. She's done this move many times. And then he fucking cranks up that tractor and she freaks the fuck out. She lost all her cool. She's like, oh my fucking god, it's move day.
She did come back around though.
Right.
You know, she did like panic and she's running and scared, and so all the rabbits and all the turtles and snails and
I would have just sent like an email, like on the emergency alert system. Hey, it's today. Came a couple days
since
early.
we have electricity, you know.
Fucking global warming.
But then Miss Frisby, she's like, she just goes into like, I gotta save my kid somehow, you know. So she's like, she goes head on. She's gonna attack this tractor. I don't know if you know this. If you go mouse versus tractor,
tractors usually win.
Usually it's the tractor, you know.
But
Miss
not
Frisby,
always in cartoons.
Yeah. But that's when Auntie Shrew come in clutch here, you know, because she follows her up there and she's like, listen, Frisby, sit down. And she tears up the fuel line and a couple other things. So she actually does end up saving the day.
Right.
But she did panic there for a bit. Mm. She took a minute to get her shit together.
But I think maybe like if I was a tractor and I drove over like a giant cinder block, that would mess up my blades and stuff too.
Right. And that part didn't make any sense because there's this giant rock in there, and they're kind of by that giant rock because they just have to move over closer to the rock, is what I kind of gathered, right? But like you said, if you're the farmer, you're not going to just go out there and run over cinder blocks and all that shit. Right. You're going to move that stuff out of the way because, like you said, it's going to just screw up your tractor, right? I mean, I've never been a farmer, so I don't know, but I've mowed my lawn, and if there's some rocks and shit on the lawn, I go out there and move them first.
Yeah, if there's an entire family of mice in a cinder block, I move it. But yeah, so they save the day from there, and then the farmer's going to have to buy some new parts, and luckily it's not today, so you can't overnight them from Amazon, so it's going to take a couple days. And so
he's got to go think about it, you know, go into the town and...
Yep. So he's like, well, now we really gotta move. And so, is it the shrew? It's like, you gotta go see that fucking owl then. Because it's not Mr. Ages.
No, who does she go see to tell him go see the owl? Shit, I can't remember. But she ends up...
She goes to see the great owl.
I think it might be Auntie Shrew. Says you gotta go talk to the great owl. And she's like, but fucking owls eat mice, right?
Yeah. He's like, only at dark, don't worry.
Right, and so that's when she catches a ride from the crow.
Crow, yep.
And she doesn't like flying, obviously, because she's a mouse. But the crow's like, look, I've been doing this for a couple of minutes.
Yep, I know how to fly.
You know, and so they go see the great owl. And you kind of mentioned something about this great owl.
What'd I say?
You said that thing scared you.
Oh, yeah.
Forever.
When I was little. Because its head was upside down like owls do.
Mm-hmm. And he lived in that spider-infested tree. And he had them big talons.
Yeah, but he didn't care if there were spiders everywhere and getting, like, spider webs in his nose and stuff.
And for some reason, his eyes were glowing. There was a lot of glowing eyes in this movie.
Well, they're smart.
Yeah.
I mean, he was smart, I guess, because he's a great owl, like, but he was not as smart as all them rats, but I guess he was still super smart.
He was just wise. That's the thing of owls, right? They look old and wise. Mm-hmm. So they're like...
But maybe it's kind of like a sham, right? Because, like, this mouse goes and she's like, look, man, my fucking house is going to get ran over by the farmer, and my kid's got pneumonia. We can't move it. And then his great idea is like, There's some fucking super smart human rats that live just a couple feet over. See if they can help.
Well, the first thing is
like,
she's like, look, the plow's coming. And he's like, well, just leave, you know?
Right.
That was number one.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, well, go see them rats and remember the lee of the stone. Like that made
the lee of the stone. Like it's just like on the other side of the stone.
Yeah. And so he's just like, well, I'm going to go get some food now. And just like bounces out of there. It goes crashing out. And she's like, well, shit.
Yeah, she's like, I'm hungry now. Yeah, it's like the wayward side or the leeward side of the stone. So that's how he's like, move to the other fucking side where the farmer doesn't plow.
Look, he's going to plow right here. If you shift over a couple inches,
I'm smart as fuck.
Go past the quicksand.
Maybe everybody's just like, God, he's super wise because they don't want to get eaten,
right?
He's like a 1, a 2, a 3. He's like that owl, and they're like, no, you're smart as fuck, man. Just don't eat me.
Yeah.
You live in this badass house with them spiders. Nobody fucks with you.
A moth flies by and you just catch it straight up with your beak.
Yep, smart motherfucker. But so then she's like, well, I guess I'm gonna go see these smart ass rats. Oh, she did mention, she's like, well, my husband John died. And then he's all like, oh, wait, fucking Jonathan?
Jonathan Frisby?
And she's like, yeah, why does everybody fucking know him? He's like, oh, man.
I wonder if the owl was in there, too, maybe.
Maybe he was. Yeah,
you know,
maybe he was
Maybe he was part
too.
of the Great Escape.
Mm-hmm. He could have been. Everybody just keeps, like, every time they meet Mrs. Frisby, they're just like, fuck, man, your husband was badass, and he died. And she's like, I fucking know. You guys keep bringing it up.
Yeah. You know how many kids I have? I know how good he is.
Do you know how... I have to move my house by myself because he died. I understand. Thanks, sir. But then she's like, well, I guess I'm going to go see some smart-ass rats. And I think that we'll talk about them smart motherfuckers after a break.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Corey.
Well, it's 2021, so I got some kind of resolutions and stuff. One of the things that I was thinking about doing was I got some ideas in my head. I got to get them out to the world. So I was thinking about making a podcast.
I think that's a great idea. There's not a better way to get your ideas into the world.
And just put them out there.
You got to say them.
Yep. So do you know what you do to do that if you want to make a podcast?
What do you do?
Well, you can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And you can just put them ideas down and then the New Year's resolution complete.
Yeah. Well, you got any examples of those good ideas?
Yep. Our podcast, which you're listening to right now.
Yeah, that's because you guys are awesome.
Yep.
Thank you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Before we jump into this new movie for a second, I wanted to just thank everybody again real quick. We forgot to at the beginning for subscribing, for following us on our Twitter and our Instagram, for being Patreon support.
Mm-hmm.
And, just we appreciate you guys. And just remember to click subscribe. Remember to leave comments. And remember that any support that you guys offer, either through our Patreon or our support link on Anchor, goes 100% back to our podcast for renting movies, upgrading equipment, getting merch out to our Patreon people. So everything that you guys help.
Buying gold rings.
Yeah, sending gold doubloons. Mm-hmm. All that stuff goes back into...
we buy gold rings whenever we get lots of money.
Well yeah, I mean, you definitely record a lot better if you have a little bling on you.
Yeah.
So you got anything else for them before I throw a 2000s movie at you?
I subscribed to a fellow podcast's Patreon last week, and they're going to send me out a little goodie bag to say thank you. So I am going to shout them out once I get that and talk about the cool things that I got. So look forward to that coming out next week.
Sounds good.
Because they're an awesome podcast as well. And then I wanted to just shout out my friends Vintage Video Pod and Shocked and Applaud, because they are both great, and I wanted to say hi to them.
Yeah, I think they're latest. At least Shocked and Applaud, I was looking at theirs. They're doing Cats right now.
Yeah, they are.
Those crazies.
Yeah.
Here I am talking shit on Cats, and they're doing a movie about cats.
We always kind of like cross circles in a weird way. And then Vintage Video, they're doing their entire 1981 catalog right now. And I listened to The Incredible Shrinking Woman today, which was pretty good. We should do that movie sometime.
Yes, I love that. I love that movie.
Yeah. Cool. So we should probably talk about like a 2000s or 90s movie or something, right?
2000s. I'm going to throw a movie at you that is a Will Smith movie. So, it's usually pretty good.
Probably never seen it.
You probably haven't. I mean, it's about man-made vampires, kind of.
Oh.
And there's a badass dog in it. Okay. And End of the World.
I thought you were going to hit me with Wild Wild West.
No, that was about
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend.
Yeah.
Go save the day.
I Am Legend is like this. This guy was writing a movie, and he's like, check it out. I got an idea for a movie. Vampires and Will Smith, and then just kicking ass. And then there's a guy who, like, his wife recently left him, and he hates the world and just wants everyone to suffer. And he's like, I like the movie, but I'm only going to make it on one condition. You put the saddest movie scene in the entire history of the world and make him literally choke out his own dog and cry while he chokes out his own zombie dog. And you have to put that in the movie. And then everyone's like, who hurt you? And then he's like, damn it, Beth.
To be fair, did you cry?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It's fucking sad.
I think I cry every time. Why? That's so bizarre. You know, whenever we watch movies or whatever, we'll watch violent movies and people be getting killed left and right, and a whole car full of nuns will explode, or, you know, and then one dog gets killed and we're like, fuck, we're crying.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's because they do it in like such a heinous way, you know, like he just, like, the dog's like turned into a zombie and he's just like holding him and choking him out, and he's just all,
and it wasn't
getting him, you know?
2 hours ago that dog saved his life, you know.
Yeah.
And it was the last gift from his family before they
all died. Yeah.
all died, and so they were in it together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he ran into, because that dog chased that deer into that dark building, and he's like, fuck, man, and he ran in that whole building with all them vampire zombies in there to save his dog.
I mean, I want to think that I would do that, but I might be like, hey man, you know where we live, if you make it back. You know, that movie is so good though. Like, I don't know if he actually did see those mannequins move, or if he was just imagining it. It was like, hey, motherfucker.
I think he did. I think that was part of the trap. Because those mannequins were inside the video store.
The vampires just got smart.
Because, well, they set up the trap for him, right? And they hook him.
True.
And so I think that they actually moved that mannequin out.
Was that the vampires, or was that the other person?
I would assume it was the vampires.
I thought it was the other person.
Because then they were sitting there waiting for him with his little dogs and stuff. So it was like the one fairly smart vampire. Yeah. It seems like a lot of them were just drones, but
maybe
apparently
there's a couple
this one,
sentient smart ones. Yeah, I guess that is true. I think I agree with that now too. Yeah, wild movie. Hopefully that I don't ever have to choke out my vampire dog.
That would be sad. The only complaint,
your dog would be easy to choke out.
Yeah, my dog,
tiny little guy. Sorry, vampire. Boop.
But you know, he might be hard to catch too.
Oh yeah,
he's just kind of wiry.
Yeah, you're up on the walls. You're over here. You're down in New Mexico. Now you're back.
I think my one thing I was disappointed about this, and I know that this was based off a book, is the ending, because he finally finds the mom and son, and they're about to get free because he's got the blood. He kind of comes up with the antidote, whatever, and then he's just like, screw it, my family died, my dog died, I'm going to save the world. Here's these guys that could use my help, but instead I'll just jump out here with a grenade instead of just throwing the grenade out there and running with the lady.
Right.
I thought that was the only part that...
I think he was just depressed and didn't want to live anyways.
Yeah, well...
Dead. His dog was dead.
He needed to get over that shit and give us a sequel.
It could be called I Am Legend 2. It's just nothing.
They just put a new character in there and just be like, I Am Legend 2, TOO.
I too am Legend. Yep, but that is that movie.
You know what that is?
That's totally the 90s.
Definitely the 2000s.
Definitely the 2000s. We gotta get that tagline down.
Alrighty, let's jump back into the Great Mouse Detective. Just kidding. The Secret of N.I.M.H.
Right.
Miss Frisby is heading off to see the rats in the rose bush. She's trying to figure out how to get in. Talk us through a day in the life.
So yeah, she shows up and she's looking. So earlier, there's just a scene in the movie where the farmer is talking with his wife, and you just kind of hear from outside, and then you see the rats like grab an electrical cord and then cruise into the bush, so you know something crazy's going on. And then the wife's like, N.I.M.H called again, and then he's like, who? And she's like, the National Institute of Mental Health. And he's like, oh, okay. And she's like, yeah, they want you to call about them rats. So
he's like, they finally coming to get you or what?
But he's like, that's when you know that there's something special about the rats. So then she's like, well, I got to get in this rat rose bush, and I'm trying to figure out how. And so she's trying to get in, and then the bird shows up again. And he's like,
Crazy Crow.
Yeah, he's like, what up? And he starts yelling at stuff, and she's like, shut the fuck up. Dragon's over there. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm way quiet.
Oh, yeah, because he gets on his disguise and trips over Dragon and everything.
Yeah, he's wearing like the farmer wife's blouse and stuff.
Right.
But, he's like, oh yeah, I'm super fucking quiet. Watch this. He's just all yelling about how quiet he is. But then she's like, go protect my family. It's far away from here. And he's like, hell yeah, bitch. I'll see you. So he cruises off, and then he comes back. He's like, wait, where the fuck do you live? She's like,
I live by the wayward side of the stone.
You know the leeward side? I live by the wayward. And he's like, oh, perfect. But then she like gets in to the thorn bush maze and everything. And then this one rat shows up and he's got this like pokey like electricity stick, and he's like, "Who the fuck are you?" But he doesn't say anything. He starts stabbing her.
Right, he's got like Poseidon's trident there and attacks her. She's like, "Shit, the great owl told me to come here," and he's like, "I don't give a fuck."
Yeah, and he almost gets her, and then she goes flying off, and then she lands like down in a base area. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Aegis is over there, and he's got a broken leg.
Yeah, and then they call him walk or fucking hop along there.
Yeah, and she's like, Mr. Aegis is like, "Fuck, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "I was supposed to go see the rats in N.I.M.H. That smart ass owl told me to." And then he's like, "Oh, you went and saw the owl?" And she's like, "Yeah."
Nobody's ever seen the great owl.
She's like, "I did."
And lived.
Right. And then she's like, "Who is that? I can't go back up there. There's a giant monster." And then he's like, "Oh, that's just Brutus, that motherfucker." She's like, "Yeah, he tried to murder me."
He has a trident full of electricity.
Right.
You know?
They just pass him off. "Oh, yeah, that's Brutus.
Don't worry about him.
He's always trying to murder people. Why do you think I have a half a leg?"
He's like 10% harmless.
Yeah, they like put him with like some zombie juice and some smart juice. Maybe he didn't get enough smart juice, so he just like stab.
He got more of the steroid and less of the brain gain.
Right. But so then she goes and meets Jonathan. Jonathan is another rat that's badass, right?
Jonathan is her husband.
So
she goes to meet Justin.
Justin and Jonathan. I forgot.
Justin's the one that kind of reminds me of Robin Hood.
Yeah.
You know, because he's like same build and everything as the Fox of Robin Hood.
They could have been the exact same.
Yeah, and then the other guy, what's his name, Cedric or something?
Yeah, the bad guy?
Yeah, he reminds me of the Sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood. I don't know why I made all of those.
Well, the three little kids remind me of the little kids from Robin Hood as well.
So maybe when they were writing this and making this movie, they were just like little...
I think a lot of movies, like Disney movies like that, or animated movies before they were all CGI, I think they used like a lot of the same like traces and stuff, so a lot of the characters were way similar, and then they just kind of changed little bits, like recolored backgrounds that are the exact same shapes.
Makes sense.
I think that's how they like shortcut to get stuff done. But then Justin's like, "Oh, damn, what up? You're hot as hell." And she's like, "I know, right?" And then Mr. Aegis is like, "Yeah, this is Jonathan's wife." And he's like, "Fuck, your husband died." And she's like, "I know.
He was such a good man to us. But, if you ever need anything, wink, wink."
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I know. Remember that Air Supply song, Even the Nights Are Better?" I mean, I'm a rat and you're a mouse, but, fuck it. I'm smart.
Yeah.
Fuck. He's like, "I'm opening up in a business because do you know what them humans got? They got titties. So I'm thinking about doing rat titties. What do you think?" And then Nicodemus is over there like, he kind of hears, and he's just like, because he's watching his little stone, he's like, "Never mind that." And he fucking Googles on his little stone rat titties. He's like, "This is much better." He's like, "I love Jonathan, man. He got us out of that cage." But so then, yeah, she goes and sees Nicodemus, and he's like, "Hey, your husband died." And she's like, "Yeah, this is getting old." He's like, "He was a great friend of ours. He wanted me to give you this stone."
Well, they go to the little rat council first.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where the bad guy was like, "We need to stay here." And then they bring her up, and they're like, "This is Mrs. Jonathan Frisby." And they're like, "Who gives a shit? Her husband died." She's like, "Jesus, guys, come on." Everybody has to tell me my husband died. I know. He was my husband.
Right.
Guess who's not at home taking care of the kids right now?
But then they're like, "Well, yeah, let's I've got an idea." The bad guy, I can't remember his name, but he's like, "Oh, let's move her
Steve.
house." Probably not. It's probably like Mordecai or something silly like that. But they're like, "Let's move his house, and then we'll drop it on Nicodemus, and then we can stay here," because Nicodemus wants them to leave the rat bush and start making their own electricity instead of stealing it.
I like how you said rat bush there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not a human trait to steal electricity. That's a rat thing, and they're beyond rats.
Yeah, because they're smart now. So then Nicodemus is like, "Well, here's a cool stone. We're going to save your family's house." So she's like, "Okay, cool. Now we're just going to send you home, and you're going to get everything packed and ready to go, and then we'll move you." And then they're talking, and
Jenner. That's his name.
That's
Jenner.
his name. God.
I said Cedric. I don't know why. I think I just said the first name that came out.
Probably. But then they're making all the plans and everything, and then Justin, he's like, "Well, we got a poison dragon, and we're not going to be able to anymore because Mr. Aegis is old as fuck, and he tried to go do it and got a broken leg.
And I'm too big to fit through that hole, you know what I'm saying?"
And they're like, and the last fucking guy that did it, he ran up there and got eaten, and then he's like, "Oh fuck, that was your husband. I'm sorry."
Yeah, I know.
And then she's like, "That's how he died?" And he's like, "I didn't want to tell you, but yeah." Yeah, no, he's just... And then Mrs. Frisby, she's like, well, I'm going to save the day. I'm going to go poison that fucking dragon. So she wants to go poison it.
So she runs up there, gets the poison in the food, is about to get her freedom back.
Yep.
What happens?
Then a little stupid redheaded kid captures her.
That soulless little
I
beast.
When I was little, when I was redhead, I wanted to like call the Motion Picture Association of America and be like, this is not all redheads. I never would have done that to this.
You guys are putting a bad light on us.
Right. Between this and that fucking redhead from Children of the Corn. But yeah, then the shitty kid's like, I caught a mouse. Can I keep it? And the mom's like, no. And he's like, please. And then she's like, okay.
Just put it in a cage.
So then he cages it, which is actually a good thing because her being in the cage, she was able to hear the farmer on the phone. He's like, oh yeah, come dig that rat bush out tomorrow morning. That's no problem at all. I hate that thing.
Yeah, and finally at this point they did show the farmer. And I will give the animators props on this because he had a legit mustache.
Yeah, he looked like the farmer from The Fox and the Hound. Looks just like that guy. But I mean, like that was like 15 years later.
But like you said, same animation style of stuff. But I'm just saying his mustache was on
a good
point.
Mustache though.
Right.
Like
I think he wakes up in the morning
mustache,
and just looks in the mirror for a little bit and just like massages it, rubs some oils and stuff, and it'd be like it's just
botanicals and stuff.
He named his mustache like Jonathan, not
Destroyer. So then she escapes, and then she's like, I gotta go and help them move my house. And then it's raining, of course, because it's gotta rain in a movie like this. So they hoist up this cinder block with a bunch of like levers and pulleys and stuff because they're smart rats. And then the smartest one, Gandalf, is just standing there. And they're like, let's bring it directly over your head. And then Jenner's like, cut the wires. And then he cuts it and fucking crushes him. Like,
he does cut it and crush him.
If you're the smartest rat in the world, you have to know, and you can predict the future and stuff, you have to know not to stand under cinder block.
Like, move 6 inches. Yeah. Like
not even
feet or miles, you know, just like that cinder block is like 12 inches by 8 inches. Just a couple steps that way.
Yep. Yeah, because like, what's the first, like when you go working, because you work at like a mine, a production facility and stuff, they probably teach you on like the first day, don't stand under giant heavy objects.
Oh
right?
yeah, if you walk underneath an object that's hanging, fired. Yeah. No questions asked, done. So, you know, because you'll get squished.
Obviously they didn't have OSHA rats back then, but they probably should have.
After this, they did. That probably helped.
Tag outs and stuff like that. Yeah. After that, they were probably like, we need a, industrial hazards assessment crew and everything else. But then, they crush Nicodemus, and luckily all the kids are inside and okay, and everything's good to go.
Right, and that's when the Auntie Shrew gets knocked out by the nut.
Yeah.
She takes a nut to the head.
She does get knocked out, yeah. But then Justin's like, Jenner, I know you did this. And then there's like a cool sword fighting scene.
That's right.
And then they defeat Jenner. And then the cinder block starts sinking in the mud somehow. I don't necessarily know that that would have happened.
I mean, it was quicksand.
It did look
and
quicksand.
you got to have some dramatic. It was raining. There was
all that shit.
It was right where Nicodemus was just standing on solid ground. But now it's sinking.
Right.
So I think there's just a little bit of that farmer magic, you know?
So then she's trying to save her children and can't, obviously, because the levers and pulleys are all broke. So then the cinder block sinks, and then Justin pulls her out, and she's crying because her kids are all sinking with her house, and everything's bad. And then that magic pendant lights up. It pulls the house out and puts it on the leeward side. I would have been like, why didn't you do that to begin with?
Yeah, right?
You got magic stones, and I'm out here constructing levers and pulleys? Come on.
Nicodemus is a little force ghost over there. He's like, damn it, I wish I would have known that.
Done this.
I could have saved my life.
I wasn't even alive when we invented rat titties yet. Come on. So, then the house is on the leeward side of the stone where it's safe. They should have just put it there to begin with.
Right. So then we have kind of the ending. Then the rats leave, and N.I.M.H doesn't find any of them. You know, so they go to the thorny bushes or whatever they were called.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of got the family sitting there, and they're talking about, hey, you think we'll ever see Justin again? You ever think we'll see the rats? And the mom's like, yeah, probably. Then the crow shows up. He's got like a bag full of string here to help. He's like, I got some string to help. And she's like, oh, shit, sorry, we already won, you know.
Right.
But then, true love.
Yep. Another clumsy-ass bird meets him.
Accidentally crashes into him, and they fall into the bushes together, and, you know, the rest is history.
And they just kind of fly off together. Yep. There's like a nice love song and stuff. So that brings me to my biggest criticism of the movie.
Okay.
The rats are going to leave and go to the thorny area, bush, whatever. They're going to leave the farmer's bush and head out to their own place and make their own lives and not steal. And they said, it's okay, we'll leave tonight and we'll leave no trace. Okay, there was a literal, like, court, like a whole, like, suits of armor and, like, courts and everything inside of Rosebush. How did they leave no trace?
Yeah.
Like, if you cut that thing up, you'd be like, is that what looks like an entire, like, courtroom and then, like, an old guy with, like, a weird HBO TV channel that glows green?
And a throne.
A throne?
Yeah.
How did they leave all of that without a trace? There's no way. Unless they had, like, a bomb or something to detonate it.
Yeah, maybe they had it, like, wired. They had, like, little TNT things in there. They're like, oh, here, hit the no trace button.
Right.
And then it just kind of all
disappears. They, like, leave a note that's like, humans ain't shit. And then it's like, dash rats. And they're like, those smart fuckers.
They just put a picture of Splinter up there.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to him.
I never knew that this movie was, that N.I.M.H stood for the National Institute of Mental Health before I rewatched it, because I only watched it when I was a kid and I just didn't put two and two together. And that it was based off like an actual scientist trying to like make rats super smart with like super rat serums and stuff.
Based on like actual events.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
But I think probably my biggest complaint of the movie is, why didn't the little mouse family just go with them and live the good life with the smart rats?
Yeah.
Why'd they stay in that freaking cinder brick?
Mm-hmm. She could have hung out with Justin. I think there's rats of N.I.M.H. or something. Maybe they do.
There's a secret in him too. Timothy saves the day or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's like, I don't got
Never
pneumonia anymore, bitch. But yeah, that is kind of the whole movie. It's pretty good. I really like it.
So kind of wrapping it up,
mm-hmm.
I want to talk about what we're going to do next time.
Hell yeah.
Since we're coming into the second half of the century, 51.
Podcast century.
That's right.
Yeah.
I want to do one that's got some of the Brat Pack in it.
Okay.
But also possibly the best soundtrack ever.
Ooh.
I mean, that's a bold statement.
Yeah, it is.
But it's got
like,
a lot of good music.
Queen did a lot of really good soundtracks in the 80s, right?
That's true.
Like Flash Gordon.
Flash. But this one is featuring AC/DC.
Hell yeah.
It's featuring aliens.
Yep.
It's featuring, I believe, rogue Coke machines that kill people.
Mm-hmm.
And some badass semis. You know what I'm talking about?
Maximum Overdrive.
You know what that is?
That's basically the 80s.